Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2084, I believe. I'm Mike Matthews, your host for this show called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's a journey into sound and mounds of fun for you and me. We talk about stuff that's insanity, like the things we see from day to day and the funny things we realize we don't really know. So I say to you, thanks for listening to the show, because without you, there's nobody listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Or possibly there is. Maybe if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around, it still fell.
Mike's
Or did it?
Daily
Or did it make a noise?
Podcast.
It's all very confusing.
Yeah!
Let's see. Should we do a video today? I don't know. I think I get a little self-conscious when I do this. All right, I'll do it. What the heck? Hey, you know what we're doing right now? We're doing laundry. We're doing laundry and podcasting at the same time. Hi, I'm Mike. I went for a long walk today. Here's what you do. You go on a long walk when it's 80 degrees outside. When you come home, you just fall on the floor and sleep. That's all I had. It's great. It's a great thing. That's what I'm doing for the podcast picture or the YouTube thing. The fact that it's so much. Your body has to, well, and then I didn't bring water like a stupid idiot. And there's no water to drink anymore. There's no more drinking fountains. You can't stop anywhere and get a little drink of water because of the coronavirus. And that should be illegal. That's more of a threat to my health. The fact that you don't have water that you give to me for free. I guess that I paid through my taxes for. And I might die of thirst. Okay, just thoughts.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Thoughts protruding from my brain hole. Hey, the CDC, after Trump criticism, has announced it will change school reopening guidelines. Trump tweeted Wednesday he disagreed with the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines for safely reopening schools because they are very, very tough and expensive. The agency said it would issue new recommendations next week. The move came as the Trump administration makes a what, Basil? Huh? You don't like it that you have to wear a mask? You think the president's a sellout because he wears a mask now? Oh, Basil. I know. The move came as the Trump administration makes a concerted push for schools to reopen by the fall, even as cases surge in some parts of the country. This story brought to us by CNN. CNN doesn't like the Trump. Just so you know. After Trump voiced displeasure at the CDC's handling of the issue, the agency's director said his recommendation shouldn't be used as an excuse for not returning children to classrooms. Instead, Dr. Robert Redfield, not Redford, but Redfield, and other members of the White House Coronavirus Task Force said, every effort must be made to bring students back to schools. I know so many parents hearing that statement that freak out, suggesting doing otherwise would harm their health and development. Interesting. Trump has pushed to reopen schools as a way to allow parents to return to normal work, a step that could further fuel an economic resurgence. Then, this morning, he threatened he may cut off funding to schools that do not reopen, though the bulk of public school funding comes from state and local governments, not from him. Well, interesting. So this is I didn't even know I was going to talk about this today, but I do know a lot of people that are very, very scared about sending their kids to school when they could get sick. And I know a lot of parents, too, that are getting really sick of their kids being at home as much as they're good parents and they love their kids. But they're getting a little sick. They're like, hey, you need to experience the homogeneity that I did, where I had to go to school and I had to make friends and I had to deal with things. Now, I don't remember a mass disease like this. Measles, mumps, that's it. People would get the cold from time to time, but they'd be back in a couple of days. This is huge. So, Mike Pence said the CDC would issue new guidance on reopening schools next week. Both he and CDC's director said the agency's recommendations should not be viewed as a barrier to returning children to classrooms. And there you go. Meanwhile, Demi Moore is starring in Q Code's erotica podcast, Dirty Diana, telling the story of a dying marriage and how two partners find their way back to each other. Demi Moore is a podcaster. It has cameos from Lena Dunham. So that podcast will probably get some listeners, unlike this one. Wah, wah. Kanye West reveals he had coronavirus. Okay. Yeah, right. He had a sniffles a couple weeks ago. I had the coronavirus. I was sick, and I had a fantastic recovery. I bought a box of Kleenex. I was fine. No, I don't know what he said exactly past that, but really? Kanye West revealed he already has a vice presidential candidate. And I guess he wants to run under a new party. Is that what we're saying? He no longer supports President Trump. I'm taking the red hat off, he says. Okay. Well, he could lose. He has to take steps to, if he is serious, though, as we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley today. He's already missed the registration deadlines to be on the ballots of some states. And if he doesn't take the necessary steps in the next 7 days, get a little handle on that ADD or whatever he has. And, he's got a lot of stuff happening in his head. It's true. Bit of a genius, bit of a savant, bit of a, I don't know what. But if he doesn't take the necessary steps in the next 7 days, he could lose out on additional places like Florida and Michigan. In fact, he's already picked a vice presidential candidate. He has sought guidance from Elon Musk. And, he has said he's declared his vision for the creation of a new political party. I see. More specifically, instead of running as a Democrat or Republican, Kanye would run under the new banner of what he called the birthday party. Because when we win, he says, it's everybody's birthday. Have you heard that yet? I'm sure you've heard that news. If you haven't, well, I feel honored that I broke that to you. Amazing. Kanye West, he's adamant on participating in the upcoming election. And finally, there is the Neowise comet that is visible. How and when to see the rare Neowise comet this month? It's making its way across the sky in July. If you're at the right place at the right time, you might catch a glimpse of it. It was dubbed Neowise after it was discovered by the Neowise satellite in March. At that time, Neowise, which is currently a giant iceberg shedding a tail of gas, ice, dust, was hurtling toward the sun. And now, after surviving its loop around the sun, it's heading back toward Earth on its way to the outer solar system. After brushing past the sun, Neowise has brightened to a level equivalent to the stars in the Big Dipper, making it one of the few comets of the 21st century that is visible to the unaided eye. and also one of the very rare few with a long visible tail. Right now, currently the comet can be seen at dawn in the northeastern sky, appearing very low on the horizon. Very low, only 1 or 2 degrees above the horizon line. Dang, can you even see that anywhere in the Bay Area? There's so many trees, buildings, mountains. On July 11th, the comet will reach its highest point on the horizon, about 10 degrees, so a little bit higher, at dawn. The comet can be seen at dusk in the northwestern sky, initially appearing low on the horizon but climbing higher in the sky as the month continues, and this is after July 11th. Then on July 22nd, it reaches closest approach to the Earth, and that will be prime time for viewing. And on July 25th, the comet will reach an altitude of 30 degrees above the horizon line at dusk. So there you go. Lots of people posting pictures on Twitter about it. Hey, I wanted to mention one interesting little factoid, and that is not to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I wonder to myself, how come I only got this far in radio? When I look around, and now I'm a manager in radio, and I cannot believe the excuses that I get when I tell people to do simple little tasks. Radio is not brain surgery. It requires a little work, a little time, a little effort, but you're not picking up huge logs. You're not pounding a nail into a wall. You're not getting yourself covered in paint. You're just moving a mouse around and clicking and listening and adjusting for volume and working with boards, radio boards. It's simple. But the excuses I get when I give an assignment. When I used to get an assignment for my superior in radio, first I was very thankful to be working in radio. Look, I never made a king's ransom in radio. Very few do. And that really is just like a few, like Howard Stern, a couple people in big cities. But those people are called low-hanging fruit to the corporations that employ them. And usually they fire them when they go through something like the coronavirus or a huge economic dump. But when I was given an assignment in radio, I would always ask, okay, if you want me to jump, how far, how high do you want me to go? I'll go up to the ceiling. No, I can't. Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? I learned that early on, and this is coming from someone, I never went to the military. You learn that in the military. You get that instilled, that discipline, but I was not ever in the military. So I just knew that when employers wanted something, I would do it. But oh my gosh, the excuses I get today, it blows my mind. And also, I would never ever call my superior on the phone, except when there was a dire emergency and I absolutely could not figure it out for myself. You would not believe the calls I get as a manager in radio. I get calls for the most frivolous little things. You couldn't figure that out for yourself? Seriously. Now, I used to get those calls when I wasn't a superior, when I would just be working randomly. I remember I was doing nights, kind of the low man on the totem pole. And the afternoon guy, Dave Bradley, would call me all the time. Mike, how do you do this? How do you do that? I remember him calling me on the weekend once, and I had to walk him through something for like an hour. I didn't get paid anything extra for that. I just did that out of the kindness of my heart, helping out Dave. And I wasn't a superior. I didn't have any, it wasn't a supervisor. So now it just blows my mind. So anyway, that's what you deal with when you're a manager. If you're a manager and you already know that, or maybe you're a manager and you don't have that happen to you, good for you. If you're not a manager and you don't have to worry about any of this, good for you. But just realize some of this stuff you got to figure out on your own. If you're an employee, if you're an employer, once in a while a quick question is fine. But I have had long conversations from people calling me when I'm supposed to be having my off time, private time. Yeah, That's fun. Just wanted to mention that. And if you can commiserate with me on that, you can call me 336MM Daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6. M as in Mike Matthews, and daily as in what this podcast has been for quite a while. 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM Daily. I just want to get that out there. Look who's in here. I mean, out here. We're also out here, out there. Look who's here. Hello, Michael Matthews. It's Madame Rootabega. Wow, that was very interesting. Oh, yes. You gotta listen to that. Is it Meg Ryan? Demi Moore. You listen to that Demi Moore podcast? Yes. You gonna tell me all about it because I'm not gonna listen to it? Yes. And then you're gonna listen to my podcast? No. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, it looks like you are still quite red from your long walk today.
Yeah, your long walk. Do you know that? I took a long walk during my lunch break today. Wow. Yes, I'm quite red. So here's that little bit of advice to you is wear your sunscreen. I put on a bunch of sunscreen. Yeah, always wear your sunscreen. Interesting factoid I learned from someone who recently dealt with, had a little surgery done to get rid of some skin cancer or possible skin cancer, potential skin cancer. She said her doctor told her, her skin doctor said, make sure you put a lot of sunscreen on your nose and around your eyes. Even if you wear sunglasses, generally where the sunglasses fall in that area, put lots of sunscreen, because what happens is the light reflects off your glasses onto your skin and can really concentrate that UV light on your skin, and that's not good. So just a little summer advice for you. Okay, that's it. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. Thank you for listening to FF episode 2084. Oh, and I forgot to mention the podcast picture. It's of a really cool place. If you can ever go there, Richmond gets a bad rap, but Richmond actually has some beautiful spots to check out, including the Miller Knox Regional Shoreline. And if you go up to, I think it's off of Doman Drive? And there's a park called Miller Knox Park, and you can walk along there. And I was looking down over, what is it called? The Sanderling Island and the Richmond Yacht Club, and looking out there towards Sandpiper Spit and Berkeley and all that. You can see that picture now at mikesdailypodcast.com. Take it away, A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!